Previously on Jotunnslayer. Look how low he is! Oh my god, one more. Fuck yeah, let's go! Fuck yes! Yes! I beat it on the hardest difficulty. Holy crap. Difficulty, Nightmare 10. What does it say? Nightmare 10. There it is. Let's go! Boom! Let's go! Oh! Yes! I already know I just beat this. Oh my gosh, just one more. Boom! Let's fucking go! Holy shit! That took me forever to fucking beat this. Hell yeah! One more to go. One more map to go. I will beat this game. You have to say that to yourself. You will beat this game. I will beat this game. And that's all it takes. Because now you can see I have did the impossible. I have beat this game, Alheim, on Nightmare 10. I have beat this entire game on Nightmare 10, the newest and hardest difficulty. I, Firebug, have succeeded. I have finally beat Jotunnslayer Hordes of Hel. Oh, shit. This is it, everyone. This is the final chapter of the Nightmare 10 series. All we have to do is play the Archmage on the last map, Alfheim. We have conquered all of the other maps on Nightmare 10. We have conquered Niflheim, Muspelheim, Jotunheim, Svartalfheim, Helheim, and now there is only one map left standing, and that is Alfheim. Enemy difficulty on Nightmare 10 on Alfheim is 510%. Let us step into the flames and finally beat Jotunnslayer Hordes of Hel. Alright, so I'm going to give you some tips and tricks in the beginning, then showcase the rest of the build. But first, some first tips, right? What you want to do is, again, always pick up at least a god skill and your abilities first. Then, for the objectives, don't ever choose the runners. The runners take way too long to even complete it on time. Now, the thing with the portals. Yes, the portals was harder difficulty because it said hard compared to the runners, because the runners were just medium. The portals, what makes the portals so much better is because you can stand in the portal for a brief second, then you can walk out of the circle and it does not reset. It only resets if you go to open the other portals, right? So I recommend just sticking around the area for the first one, then go to the next one. That being said, always pick up the god skills, in my opinion, first. The Archmage skills, they only pop off when you have it maxed. So you want to focus on the god skills first because you have the local Ragnarok and 1 point of Scotty. Next, you want to put 1 point of the Njord, right? So I chose this one because that one has a bleed effect, and the bleed effect is the strongest element in the game, or tick damage is what I meant to say. So going back to my previous video, I talked about it just a little bit. how bleed is the strongest, second is shock, third is burn, and last is poison. So as you can see here, I opened the portal and I'm staying in it because it summons more of those enemies from the portal. But as you can see, you can walk outside of it, and doing so gives you more flexibility to kind of find and weave around like different like open areas, so you're not consistently just getting hit, right? What I did here is I got lucky and I put another point in local Ragnarok. Every time you put a point in local Ragnarok, and I'm not saying all the time, but 99% of the time when you do, it will always activate it. So that's why it's really important just to pop that out and try to put as much points as you can to the local Ragnarok, because that's going to save your run in this game. So now you kind of understand the objective is put more points into the god skills than the actual character or the Archmage class skills. Now I'm going to show you the full rest of the build of what I chose, and I'm going to get and be honest, since I kind of covered the beginning part, the passives is basically just RNG because this is how the game is, but you want to look for the one that I just showed on screen is the Odin one for the double cast, because every time you double cast you can heal. The Archmage also has that one, and yes, I can confirm that it does kind of stack up, so the more double cast the better, and that's why I used this staff that I'll show on screen right now, because the staff also grants you a little bit more double cast, and the Archmage's subclass also has a higher double cast. So that's the idea. And the subclass is again the Frost one. The Frost one is the best one in my opinion. It's the one that works best, especially in this harder difficulty. So always pick up that one, the Frost one. And because why it works so well, because of the standstill, and you can get shields, it has a knockback, and freezing enemies basically is kind of like a stun, but they can't move, they can't interact. It's really OP in this game. Compared to the other subclasses, this is the one that works best. And I know I kind of covered most of this in my previous video. If you haven't checked out my previous video, how I talked to you guys about the build that I had in my mind that works really well with the Archmage, go ahead and check out that video. I kind of covered majority of the things there, but for the sake of this video, I'll just kind of re-explain it a little bit more. So in my previous video, I used Freya, but I actually end up diving a little bit deeper and come to a conclusion of Njord. Njord has a passive that I'll show on screen right now, and basically it sets your cooldowns on gods and your class cooldowns. This also works really well with the local Ragnarok, and if you have the lower cooldowns, you can also have a higher chance to proc a double cast. And double cast will only proc 2 times, right? But with the lower cooldown, will increase the higher chance to proc the local Ragnarok. Because as you can see on screen, even in the very beginning part of this video, it gets really hard because the Archmage does struggle to kill hordes of enemies with his class abilities. And the class abilities that I like the most is the ones that I have on the screen. Well, I'll show you on screen. And the reason why I like those two the best is just because it has a higher chance to apply the element, the subclass element, to his class abilities. That's why it works really well. Now going back I basically maxed out the Njord, the passive of Njord, just because I want that instant cooldown consistently on not just my class abilities but my god abilities. And I want to max out Scotty because um, every time I max out Scotty and I freeze someone and I kill him, then I can also heal off of that. So I'm healing from the double, uh, cast, and I'm also healing from the freeze. So that is my way to have sustainability. Now, someone can say, well, you could use Njord and you can use this bubble and you could have survived there. But I feel like the bubble is good, but at the same time, you're not dishing out the damage because you need something that dishes out the damage. Now, I could have used 2 points of Odin and have the spear that also does a bleed, but I find myself it's a lot easier to have 1 point of each character and have this basically the same ability that also applies a bleed, and that was Njord. So the lower cooldown with Njord and his Leviathan god ability worked really well here because it's just applying bleeds. You can freeze someone, and the local Ragnarok basically nukes the area. So as you can see, I now maxed out Scotty's arrow, like I think it's called Arctic arrow. And the reason why I really love this ability with Scotty because it has 100% chance to apply a freeze. Now, since you have the subclass, you don't actually need to put 2 points in Scotty, and you can just put 1 point in Scotty. And I highly recommend the Arctic arrow because of the 100% freeze. And your class abilities is gonna also just apply a freeze as well. So that's the idea. Apply a bunch of freeze, bleeds, and the local Ragnarok. And every time you put points in the local Ragnarok, it also reduces the cooldown to have it up every 30 seconds. But with Njord, it will also reduce the cooldown as well with that passive that I maxed out. So you can kind of understand where this is coming from. And I know this is supposed to be another standstill, but in this kind of area in the very beginning, it's going to be really tough for you to stand still because every projectile, every enemy, even if you walk next to an enemy, you're going to get hit a lot of damage. So you want to find ways to sustain yourself the best you can. Also, always pick up this objective, the spider harvest, because it's the easiest one. Always pick up this one because all that you do is go to the spider nests and try to destroy them as fast as you can. Because if you don't, then I think spiders do spawn out of the hive, and you have to deal with those spiders, and that you don't want more enemies to fight against. Now you can kind of see why I am basically put more points in the gods than the class abilities. So the gods in the last one was going to be Njord, right? Because you don't really need the Njord bleed, but it's just a lot better compared to the fortified in my opinion, because I have a different match that I had previously trying out the fortified class ability, god ability that Njord provides, but the Leviathan just does a lot more damage and applies bleeds, and it's just a lot better because again, you see how there's a lot more spiders is because I'm not killing those spider hives as fast enough. So you want to try to do this objective as fast as you can. And the reason why you want to do things as fast as you can, and I know it took a lot of time in the beginning, but the reason why you want to do the objectives as fast as you can and everything, because you only have 20 minutes to complete this. The enemy difficulty goes higher and higher, but the timer is going to always be 20 minutes. So try to go as fast as you can, and try to utilize your dash as much as you can. I know the Archmage's dash is a long cooldown, and as you can also realize that I didn't really put any points into it, but that's just because I want to dish out more freeze, damage, and all that. Now you can see that I'm also putting more points into adding more orbs, because the more orbs, the better, and you have a higher chance to apply freeze to enemies. Alright, next objective is survive the curse, and there's only one. This one's not too bad. You just have to stand here for a bit, and for the circles, move away as fast as you can, because that will silence you, and you don't want to be silenced, especially if you're playing the Archmage. So I didn't know that in the very beginning, but now I do. I'll also give you a little bit more context of why I didn't choose Freya, because Freya's standstill will only apply crits, which the more I realized how crits are kind of like useless with the Archmage, because he doesn't really benefit with a lot of crit damage. The only thing that he could benefit with crit with Freya is because you can apply bleeds with Odin. Odin has a passive that every time you do a critical hit damage, you can apply a bleed. Now, I could use that, but I was thinking to myself, I could just use the Leviathan that has a higher chance of bleeding enemies. So I don't have to focus on wasting some 2 level ups to get the full benefit of one, applying Freya's standstill that doesn't really benefit me the whole lot. And the Odin standstill is a lot better, because you can also reduce its cooldown on the Archmage. Again, the more cooldown reduction, the better. I know I'm not standing still a whole lot in this video, but it's just because there is a lot of projectiles shooting at you, and you have to step away from certain elite abilities and damage. Another thing that I noticed is that the Archmage's staffs that he has, they are not the strongest in my opinion. That's why you want to utilize more god abilities and his class abilities more than relying on his staff, or basically his weapon. But the reason why I chose this weapon is not just because of the ultimate, but it's just because of the extra double cast. Alright, another thing is that yes, I will get low, and yes, I will end up dying a lot in this run, but that's totally fine, because I still have a trick up my sleeve, and I got really lucky here because I was about to die, but I kept my rerolls, and this is the point of why I always say keep your rerolls, because you're gonna regret not having them at the time and moment that you do need them. So I rerolled and picked Odin and grabbed his revive. So Odin is the only one that has a actual revive as a passive. The other revives that you've seen on my health bar was from Freya and the skill shop and the new goddess Nearthus, because both of them in the skill shop and all of the gods' skills, once you buy them in the skill shop, they apply to all every match, and you'll always have them forever unlocked. So always pick up all the skills in the skill shop from the gods as much as you can. And no, the class skills do not apply to every character in this game. It's only the god skills that do apply, or all the passives that they have will apply to all of the rest of the game. So now you can kind of understand how this build works. Pretty similar from my previous build that I had from my last video, and now you can kind of see why I chose certain gods, certain passives, everything. With Njord, you don't really have to put a lot of points in Njord. You just have to put some like the salted runes and the reduced cooldown, because those ones are the ones that you really want to utilize the most with the build, and it kind of synergizes with everything. With salted rune, what makes it really good is that enemies that are half health will now you can do even increase more damage to them. So if they're half health, you have an easier chance to kill them. And this applies to everything, even the boss at the very end, because you can actually see the damage scaling goes increased by a little bit because of the passive. Now that's really key, and that's why Njord is really good, because of those passives that he has. But other than that, the rest of the passives with Njord you don't really have to utilize. Now always pick this objective, because this objective is really easy. If you don't know what this objective does, basically you just have to rotate the statues by standing right in the area or the circle, and all you have to do is rotate the statues and to focus face the statues focusing on the gem. And this is one of the easiest objectives that you will get. So I know this game has different objectives, and you're probably going to have this run, and you're probably not going to have the same objectives as I will. But however, if you do have the chance to get these objectives, take full advantage, because I have died with different objectives in this game that are really just one, way too long, or two, way too difficult to even complete. So that's why you always want to look for easier objectives. This one was considered medium, but in the very beginning I find myself the harder one. The portal one in the very beginning was the best one, just because you have more flexibility and you don't have to withstand in a certain area to complete it. That's why the portal one was in the beginning, and even though it's considered hard, it was quite easier to complete compared to like chasing down someone that you don't have one. The Archmage does not have a lot of movement speed, so he doesn't have a lot of movement speed, and he only has a dash or teleport. But even then, that teleport has a longer cooldown than the other characters. So that's why you want to try to move around and stand still as much as you can. But if there's a lot of like projectiles, kind of like shown on that screen a little bit of go, then just always move. When you think like your shields are not going to be enough, and it's like trial and error, the more you play, the more you can kind of understand, all right, these frost shields that I have when I'm standing still will protect me, but only for a certain amount. If there's way too many, just move. Like right here, move. Like you see how there's a lot of those enemies that will blow up on you. Just move out of the way, because if yes, it is supposed to be a standstill, but if you're standing still and you get hit by all that, you're gonna die. Because you have to keep in mind, this is not normal, this isn't endless, this is Nightmare 10, the hardest difficulty. The enemy difficulty is up to 510%. That is the hardest. So yes, every little key moment is crucial here. Basically, if you good of your surroundings, good of like, okay, I see a lot of projectile, like that projectile, I wasn't too worried because there's only one of them. But if I see certain like projectiles coming towards me, or certain things that I know that I will die from, then I will move out of the way. So, and like there, I just moved out of the way. And because, again, I have that fear of if I stand still, then I die. All right, so now this is the time and perfect time to talk about this objective. So the reason why I picked up this objective is because, well, one, you're not supposed to die here, but I did. But the reason why I picked this objective is just because you can actually stand outside the circle and not get silenced. And since you have the Arctic Frost ability, it will actually, you can actually just stand like right next to the objective right before when you're about to get silenced, just stand next to it, and the Arctic arrows will actually hit it still. So that's why you have a lot of cooldown in double cast, because you can basically defeat this objective pretty fast. Now, I could have used the portals again, but the problem with that one is just because it's good in the beginning, but the problem right now is I only have 3 minutes left until the boss fight. So you had to keep in mind, all right, do I have enough time to kill everyone in the portal? If the answer is yes, then do the portal one. But if you have the chance to do this one, and this one's a lot easier, because look, as you can see on the top right, I destroyed that thing even though I was never inside of it. So you can take full advantage of it at the time being. I guess you could say it's a little bit of an exploit that I kind of discovered. And I noticed this in my Flame Sister video, that once I had these objectives, I could actually hit them even though it wasn't like inside of the circle that silenced you. So now I'm kind of just, looking for my surroundings, looking at my mini map. I noticed that this little buff, that little flower that you see on the mini map, that's always going to be a buff. So this thing right here, always take a full advantage of it, especially if you're about to fight the boss, because once you're about to fight the boss, you can actually stand on this and get the full benefit. And it's random buff, by the way. It's random, but you can take a full advantage of it once you hit the boss fight. So just a little bit more preparation. Now, as you can see, I completed all the objectives on time. Now I can go and start slowly going towards the boss area. I have 2 minutes, and I think right here, I was debating if I wanted to stay around and try to get another level up. But I was also looking at the time, and I was like, okay, I need to get closer to it. If I run out of time, then I'll just start the boss fight. If not, because if you don't start the boss fight, the run ends. Like you have to restart the whole thing. But again, I was just trying to see if I can have enough time to level up, which I could have, but I felt like I didn't have enough time to actually get enough XP, which is totally fine. Because you just want to prepare yourself when the boss fight happens. And once it happens, you can go a little bit of at ease. But don't be a little too cocky, because I got a little too cocky here, and I took a lot of damage, which you'll see I think a little bit soon. But yeah, the boss fights, like I said in my previous video, I feel like they need a buff. So I'm not too worried about this guy. This is like my 3rd time fighting him. And what he does is he has 2 phases, if you don't know. First phase, he's really slow, and, well, whatever. And doesn't really do a whole lot. Summons a lot of these minion spiders, like little spiders, but I insta-kill them, which is quite funny. And then sometimes it will shoot projectiles at you, and you just have to move out of the way. But that's really it. Nothing else to really say. Like I said, the boss, it's not too hard. You just have to move out of the way. Watch out for its attacks, because since yes, this is a standstill, I could have just stood still for half this, but I know that this is a higher difficulty, and I know that will insta-kill me. Even though I have those frost shields and all that, those frost shields was only meant for small projectiles, not the boss projectiles like that would really fuck you over. And you have to keep in mind that I don't have any more revives, so that's why I'm a little bit more cautious and kind of just try to stand still as much as I can. If I get hit like that, it's fine. I can probably heal off of it with my double cast. And yes, the freeze can heal me, but you can't really freeze the boss, unfortunately. But as you can see, the double cast itself is actually healing me, so I'm not super worried about it. But all that being said, we are about to beat this entire game on the hardest difficulty, Nightmare 10, with the new character, the Archmage, on Alfheim on Nightmare 10! We done it! We have completed this entire game on Nightmare 10, the hardest difficulty on the new map Alfheim, on the with the new character, the Archmage. Let's fucking go! Holy shit! I can't believe it. Anyways, this is the full build. Hopefully you enjoyed this entire journey that this took me forever to beat. Holy crap. I am so happy that we done it. And again, I have not seen anyone else beat this entire game on Nightmare 10. I have done it. Firebug has finally beat this entire game. There is no other higher difficulty, and there is no other maps to conquer. We have done it with the new character, Archmage. We have finally beat Jotunnslayer Hordes of Hel! As you can see, completed, highest rank completed, level 10, Nightmare 10. If you go each map, Niflheim, Misfalheim completed, Jotunheim completed, Savaltavheim completed, Helheim completed, and Alfheim completed. All maps have been completed. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, so don't miss out when I make more content. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Unstoppable!